Welcome everyone to another episode of Tutorial Tuesday. It is week 30, 2020. Thank you for tuning in and thank you for participating. Today I have a couple of announcements and then we'll get right into your questions. With that, announcement number one, I'm going to be changing up the format of these Tutorial Tuesdays, and the format being I'm going to be shooting them differently and specifically for uploading much better quality to YouTube. So I'll be recording on my phone and then uploading to the Instagram stories. And from there, you can see them in much better quality, especially with the audio transition on my YouTube page. So that's announcement number one. Announcement number two, I want you guys to tune in over here to Bruce Dorn's page. He's a Canon Explorer of Light. Now, Bruce is going to be doing an Instagram takeover on Canon USA's page when he and I went down to Cedar City and we did some photography of Chris Peterson, diehard cowboy underscore, with the new pre-production Canon EOS R5. Now, this camera is a beast, you guys. I've seen the files from it. I was out there with Bruce. I even shot it myself. And I can tell you straight away, this camera is a game changer, hands down. So you want to make sure to tune in to Bruce's page over here and then watch for him to do a Canon USA Instagram takeover. With that, let's go ahead and get right into your questions. Okay, our first question comes in from Tanya. Thank you for this. She's new to photography and she wants to know if I have any resources for books or reading material on photography. And the quick answer is absolutely I do. The first person that I'm going to refer you to is David Duchemin. He's a photographer up in Canada who continually puts out amazing material, right to the point, reminds us to always be better, we can do better, and it's in very digestible formats. So go ahead, I'm going to send the link, so go ahead and hit that link over to David's page and you can see all the books. There's some free resources, there's some paid resources, and they're all very, very reasonable as well. So take a look at David's stuff. Number two is head over to a place called Digital Photography School. They have some very basic manuals out there, some ebooks that are also free, and they also have some resources that are paid as well, but you can't go wrong with those. Along with the reading material and the ebooks, you can also get on YouTube and find just so much out there. And to be quite honest with you, that's also the downfall with photography these days is there's so much information that's coming down and we don't know how to filter that out. So take a look at YouTube. Take a look. Next question comes in from Shop Crazy House. Thank you for submitting this. So they ask, what are some tips for shooting in bright sunlight? And to be quite honest with you, in a situation like that, I'm looking to create what I call directional light, and not just myself, that's a widely used term. And what I mean by that is this. If our person is standing here, or subject, or product, whatever it is, and the sun is shining directly on it, I'm looking to create some directional light by moving that subject or person around within that light. Instead of shooting it straight on, maybe shoot it from behind, put the sun behind the product and shoot into the sun, or turn the person or the subject at a 45-degree angle to the light. And that usually, for me anyways, that will create directional light, and it also adds some depth to the image as well, and doesn't just leave that person or subject standing in, squinting in that direct sunlight. I hope that helps. Brucey, thanks for the question. He asked, when you finish up a shoot, how do you select your images? Is it overall design? Is it story? Is it impact? And the one thing that I would say right off the bat is it's impact for me. And that impact can come from a variety of different things. It can come from the composition. It can come from lighting. It can come from the emotion on a person's face. Now, how that translates technically for me is as I'm going through and culling those images, I'm using the number 1 key. If I see an image that has impact, I hit the number 1. By the time I'm done with the whole shoot, then I sort and filter by just those that have a number 1 on them. It doesn't mean that all of those number 1s end up in the final edit, or end up in the final export, I should say. because from those, I would say probably 50% of the number ones are cut down in half. But in any case, it always starts with impact. You take, for example, a day of branding. For me, that's a chronological event. And within that event, there are certain things that happen, like they go out and gather. And sometimes within that gathering, like I think of Quirt's branding, where his brother Jed had his son on the back of a horse with him. And, it's just the cutest thing ever. And there's little subsets within that shoot that I think about. Now, it's a different story with a high school senior. When I'm photographing a high school senior, they typically have 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 horses. And there's going to be subsets in there. So there's going to be the person and their number 1 horse and the number 2 horse and all the horses and things like that. There's going to be chasing the sunset. And within those, I'm going to select each and every one that have an impact to me. And then I'm going to go through that culling process again, just like I did with the branding images. Thanks so much for the question, Bruce. And I hope that helps everybody else out there, because I know that's also a huge challenge in the photography process. And even learning is, now I've taken 6,000 images. How do I get it down to 600 images? So I hope that helps you. Hey, Rachel, thanks so much for this question. How do you create stunning images on an overcast day when there's no directional light to chase? And, before I answer this, I want to give you my definition of what a professional photographer is. And that is someone that not makes a living at this, but someone who has the time, that's put in the time, that has the talent and the expertise, and more importantly, the troubleshooting ability to create great images regardless of the situation that they find themselves in. Someone that makes a living at this, like myself, is a small business owner. Completely two different worlds, but in that case, no matter if it's a bright sunny day or if it's a completely overcast day, I still have to create images. Now, I'll create a lot of images to create a great image, and I'll create a ton of great images to create one of those iconic images. So it's not something that I set out, I got to create great images. I have to create images. And through that process, I know that somewhere along the line that all the elements will come together for me to create one of those images. Now, specifically on a cloudy day, what I would be looking to do is force directional light in. And what I mean by that is open up a garage door, which forces light in and creates a directional pattern for you. You can move the subject around in that light. You could also use a horse trailer, which I've done many, many times. Bring a reflector with you. And if all else fails, get some lights. I use Explorer 600s with soft boxes on them, and I can create that light no matter the situation that I'm in. So most importantly here, look to create directional light by forcing, there's still light in cloudy days. Open up, look for an overhang, open up a garage door, and you'll be able to create that directional light.